Okay, and there may be folks joining as we go. But I will do a brief summary at the end. So give me just 1 second.
You are recording, correct?
Thanks. I don't know why I have two bars here at the bottom. Nope, I'm not recording. So I'm gonna start.
There we go.
All right.
There we go.
Okay.
Showtime.
So, yes. So I want to make sure, Paul, you can still see the
Yep.
presentation, correct?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right. Welcome, 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 everyone. Thank you all for being on time. I am Lillian Powers, Realtor with eXp Realty, and I've put together this 2025 Real Estate Info Session for anyone who is even remotely thinking about making a move, whether that is buying or selling in the next 12 months. You are in the right place. So I have up a presentation that we'll go through. It's only a few slides, and I'm not going to read the slides to you. But I wanted each slide to basically provide an opportunity for discussion. So I do hope that this is interactive. A little bit about me. I've been a licensed agent for 10 years. Prior to that, I was a project specialist in corporate America, which required me to have a working knowledge of financial analytics, contract language, managing a project from idea phase to completion, and then training others to manage that goal forward process. So those skills pair amazingly well with being a real estate agent. Just the project management, understanding the finances behind the transaction, and then being able to explain and negotiate those contracts on your behalf. So I am also a luxury relocation and express offer certified agent, which basically just means I'm equipped to help you with whatever your needs are. I am very passionate about helping people to realize their goals through the buying and selling of real estate because owning real estate remains one of the most accessible ways to gain and retain wealth. So just a little bit about what you can expect from this info session. I'm going to break down the buying and selling process into 4 simple steps. And these are geared to help you have a realistic expectation so that you're set up for success. And my goal, again, is just to help you win, whether you are buying or selling. And this may change your mindset a little bit, just the way that I've structured this. Because what I really hope that you gather is that those 4 steps are steps that you as either a seller or a buyer have in common. So you have more in common than you may think. So speaking of mindset or perspective shift, my co-host, Mr. Paul Conti Jr., is a perspective coach, but he's also an experienced mortgage lender who will be sharing some unique products that create some exciting opportunities for you in making your next move. So I'm gonna let Paul go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, gang. I'm really, really excited that you're here and that I'm here to help you in this particular adventure. I've been doing this since 97, and I'm still just as excited, if not more excited than I was back then, primarily because of the wisdom and experience I've gained over the years that I get to share with you. So I always tell people, having a coach, a prospective coach, a mortgage coach, a real estate coach walk you through this, you're essentially looking to learn from my mistakes so that you don't make them. And being in this since 97, I've made plenty of them. And I'm going to let you know where to go and what not to do to have a very enjoyable, exciting experience with Lily and I.
Thank you, Paul. So as is laid out in the agenda, we're going to start with, we've done the introductions, we're going to start with kind of a state of the market. And if you've ever talked to a real estate agent, or even a mortgage lender, probably one of the questions that you've asked, it's the question that I get asked all the time, is this a buyer or a seller's market? So what does that mean? That basically means, is the market more favorably rewarding buyers or sellers? Are buyers getting the homes that they want at the prices they want to pay? Are sellers selling their homes at the price they want for the property? Or in other words, who has more leverage? So I'm going to show you just a really quick breakdown of the market. The deck right now is showing California overall. That's the blue, the entire MLS, and then Southwest Riverside County, which is the red line, and then Marietta, which is where I live, work, and play, is here shown in the green. So what you can see is, depending on the lens that you're looking through, whether kind of at a national, at a local, or at a hyper local level, you're going to get some different information. And that is basically the point of sharing this, is that whether it's a buyer or a seller's market, it's going to be time specific and location specific, and based on the housing inventory and saturation rate. So it may be a buyer's market one week and a seller's market the next week. And it may also depend on the neighborhood that you're looking in. So right now, what I can say for Marietta, California specifically, is we're in a balanced market with kind of lower buyer activity. And what that means is the market does not favor either buyers or sellers. But with the smaller buyer pools, buyers do have more options and sellers are more willing to offer reasonable concessions. So when you see a headline that says, oh, it's a buyer's market, you need to look at the data. Does the data prove it? And then, is that relevant to your situation? Because if you need to move in the next 60 days, it kind of doesn't matter if it's a buyer or a seller's market, right? It's dependent on what your circumstances are that are going to drive what's important to you. So now I am going to dive into, actually, before I move on, are there any questions on what I've shared so far? And I am trying to also manage chat.
I haven't seen anything come up.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I am going to dive into those 4 basic steps to buying or selling, and then I'll kind of break down some of these bullet points based on where you are. So the first one is get data. So gather the information that you're going to need so that you can make informed decisions when planning your move. So the first one I have listed is credit reports and scores. I know that Paul can kind of dive into those details if you have some very specific questions, but whether you are buying or selling, knowing where you stand with credit and debt helps you to identify what your options are. The next one I have here is kind of neighborhood market data. So it depends on whether you're selling or buying as to what you'll really be looking at. So if you're selling, it's important to understand what's happening in the market as it relates to your own property value. When you're buying, it's important to have an understanding of the market that you're moving to. So what are homes typically selling for in that area? How long do they typically take to sell? And even zoning is specific. Say if you want to have a home-based business or use your property for multi-purpose, you'd want to know the zoning, because that can also affect value. We have some recent rezoning that's happened here in Marietta, where some areas are being rezoned for multi-purpose or opportunity zones, and that's good for property values. But kind of having that data is going to help you to come up with your next, it's going to help you prepare for your move by having this data to start with. So it's the first step. And that's again, whether you are buying or selling, it's important to have this data in hand. So before I move on, I will allow for, we are going to have questions at the end, but I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. If you're anything like me, if you wait to the end, you might forget. So let me know if you do have any questions on this first step of gathering data.
Hi, Jasmine again. The chat is disabled,
Oh,
but of course we can, mute and unmute if you need us to.
okay. Yeah, I don't even know how to fix that right now. So yes, please do unmute yourselves if you have any questions, and I will try to work on that. All right, so I'll move on to the second step. So we have get data. Step 2 is get focused. So this is where you want to make a list of those things that are priority for you. And that first list might be long. Then you're going to shrink it and really drill down to those most important factors. So depending on where you are, if you're selling, some of the timing constraints that you may have is you might need a concurrent closing. And what that means is you're selling while you are also repurchasing. That is going to be a constraint, and it's also going to require some team effort between your agent locally and the agent where you're moving to. If you are a first-time home buyer, you have a lease expiring, that may be one of the timing constraints that you're up against. And then you also are going to want to look at market trends to kind of dictate those timing constraints as well. So for instance, we're not in that market now, but there was a time when a home from the time that it was listed to when it went under contract was less than a week. Those things would be a timing constraint, right? You know that you've got to get in to see the home quickly and make your offer, make a serious offer to start. So again, you want to focus on what are your timing constraints, because that is going to dictate kind of how you plan and how you move forward. And then one of the other things, and this is typically when you're selling, you want to understand what your net proceeds are going to be, and then what are your expenses associated with making a move. So when you're selling, there are costs to sell a home. There are agent costs, there are something called carrying costs. So the longer the house is listed and you have those ongoing expenses, that's something that you want to consider. So when you're thinking about making a move, one of the things that you need to determine if it's a priority is that either that net proceeds or the timeliness of the sale. And that does, again, dictate how you market the property. Home features, if you're buying, be concise and have everybody agree on what you want. So I know that typically, especially for first-time home buyer, you may have that really long list. It needs a walk-in closet, it needs a pool, it needs a covered patio, it needs all these things. But again, really shrink that list down, get really focused on the things that are absolute deal breakers, that without this thing, without a tub and shower in the master bath, without that thing, you don't want the property. Like, it's a deal breaker. You don't even want to look at the property. And then if you have more than one decision maker, make sure that everybody agrees. And I just gave that master bath thing as an example. But again, you want to drill down to those home features that are most important. And then I want to talk a little bit about maximum monthly payments. Again, Paul could speak to you more directly about your specifics, but what I will say is that when you're kind of getting focused, don't focus on the big number. Focus on a monthly payment amount. So that may be a combination of principal, interest, mortgage insurance, and then if you have an escrow account for property taxes and homeowner insurance, that's what that monthly payment will include. And I'll give you an example. I did help a first-time home buyer that we were looking in a specific budget range, but I was able to find a property that was in better condition. It was a higher priced home, but because it had lower taxes, that monthly payment for her was still within budget. So look at that maximum monthly payment, and that's what you focus on. That's going to dictate your search. So any questions on this? Let me see if I can. Yeah, it looks like you should be able to chat, but okay. I'm going to move on to step 3. Again, I broke it down into 4 simple steps. Step 3 is get real. Now, this might be where the tough love comes into play. So when you're looking at what your priorities are, what has the data that you gathered initially, what has that identified? So when you think about your expectations for this move, for the selling of your property, is it based on facts or is it based on feelings? Because feelings are expensive. So look at what that data tells you. When it comes to your budget, is that budget based on either actual cash reserves if you are a cash buyer or you're looking to make a huge down payment? Is it based on that net proceeds calculation? Again, if you are selling a property, or is it based on approval from a lender? Like that budget needs to be anchored to some facts, right? So another thing to consider, and I'll tell you how it plays both ways, is the property condition. So just know that properties in updated model home move-in ready condition sell faster, and they typically sell for more money because those are in demand. So if you're a buyer and you're looking at a property that literally has everything you want, it's move-in ready, it's clean, new paint, new carpet, make sure your offers reflect that you're serious the first time. The seller may not counter because if the home is highly desirable with buyers, they likely have multiple offers. So don't expect necessarily that you're going to put in an offer, a seller's going to counter, and you have a lot of room to negotiate. In that scenario, the seller tends to have more leverage. Now, for sellers, if your home is not in that model home move-in ready condition, make sure that your pricing is based on the actual condition of the property. So think about what are the updates that you've done in the last 2 to 3 years? Has there been any deferred maintenance? And then how does your property compared to neighboring homes listed for sale? So, we can all look up a Zestimate, right? And it'll give you a number, but make sure that your home is priced according to its actual condition and value for the market. And then just as a note for sellers to understand that list price versus sell price, list price is that advertised price. It's designed to attract buyers and it should be reflective of that property condition. But the buyers actually determine the market price or the sales price because the property is only worth what someone is willing to pay. And that's one of those hard facts that that sometimes it's difficult to swallow, but that's the reality. You get to determine what it's advertised for, but it's only going to sell at a price that somebody's willing to pay. So the buyers actually do have more leverage in that scenario. So next, the fun part is step 4, and that's get moving. So this is the point where you've got an agent, you've got a lender, you're ready to go, you're looking at homes, you're finding properties that meet your needs. So those steps are pretty straightforward. This is a time to ask, like, what are your biggest concerns? Because it's usually in this phase that you start to encounter, I call it a point of fear. where there are things that come up that are a little scary, they're a little unfamiliar. One, the real estate, kind of the real estate process has changed in the last couple of years. And then if you're brand new to a home purchase, then there are some things that come up. But if you have the right team, they will walk you through the process. They will lead you through the process as things come up, and they do. They will help to guide you through to getting those keys, to selling that property and moving on. So I've gone through that pretty quickly because I wanted to make sure that I allowed time for questions. Are there any questions at this point? And feel free to unmute yourselves. All right. I feel like Paul is like ready to go. Okay.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready.
So I have a scenario here. This is an actual listed property in Temecula. And I'm gonna let Paul take it away. This is
So gang, it's extremely simple to acquire the asset of real estate. And I'm going to show you. But before I show you how to do that, I got a question for you. I don't know your background, don't know where you're coming from, don't know where you're living. But I'm just going to make a blanket statement thinking some of you might be renting. So for the sake of example, the question is this. This is how I start. Do you love your landlord more than you love you? It's a serious question. And most people obviously say, Paulie, I obviously love myself more than my landlord. And then I say, really? It's funny that every single month you reach into your pocket and take out money and you finance his real estate empire. Are you sure you love you more than him? It's a joke. I'm getting under your skin. I'm making you just think for a second. Wait a second. That kind of makes sense. Why couldn't I just fund my own real estate empire? And I'm here to tell you tonight, you can. And when you apply what I teach you, you will. It is that simple. So the first thing I want to share with you is this particular property that is for sale that she put up on the board. I'm going to give you the numbers. Let's go to the board here. And I worked out two different scenarios for you guys. So let's take a look at the first one. PP stands for purchase price. It's $745. LA is loan amount. This scenario that I'm giving you is a 5% down payment, which means you multiply the purchase price by 5%, and that tells you how much money you're going to need for the down payment in this scenario. We then take the loan amount, and at, let's call it today's market rates. They go up and down all the time. Who knows what they're going to do tomorrow? I'm giving you a scenario based on what we've seen recently. 6 3/8, that gives you a principal and interest of $44.18. The real estate taxes on this property are $775 a month. We're estimating homeowners insurance at $150, and we're estimating mortgage insurance at $270. I'll go into great detail if you want me to, but the number that would leave your pocket every month to acquire this home is $56.13. Basic math. How do we know if you qualify for that particular home? It's simple. Grab your phone. I'm going to show you how to do it right now. You take this number, 5613, and you divide it by 45%. You should come up with that number. I don't know if you can see with the glare, but essentially you would need to be earning $12,473 a month to purchase that home and qualify with that payment. Here's the simple math for you. And I'll put this aside. Divided by 45%. So what the government, what Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, what the mortgage industry has recognized, that generally speaking, most people make their payment on time when it's no higher than 45% of your gross monthly income. Everything is always gross monthly income. So when I show you the payment divided by that number, and it tells you what your gross monthly income needs to be to move into that home. Anybody have a question about that math scenario? Here's the next one. Watch this. Same purchase price, same house, loan amount 670. So you'll notice the loan amount is lower than that. This is 10% down payment. This is 5% down payment. What I have access to, what Lily, what you all have access to right now is something that nobody else in the country has access to, because my lender just launched this program 10 days ago. Kid you not. You think it's a coincidence Lily and I are doing this today? Come on, gang. Watch this. 10% down payment. Interest rate is 4 7/8. 30-year fixed mortgage. 4 7/8. Principal and interest is this. Same numbers up here. Mortgage insurance will be a little lower because you're putting more down, but the payment is now $46.65. The interest rate matters. That is a tremendous decrease in what the current market is offering right now. Questions or thoughts about that scenario? I'm a little blown away. Ladies, you must not be paying attention. I just talked to you about an interest rate that is fixed for 30 years in the 4s that is helping people acquire homes they couldn't afford before. The criteria: 680 credit score, 10% down payment. I will go into greater detail about the program if you're interested, but right now you're seeing something here that is altering lives in this industry, and you now have access to it. So the first thing I wanted to show you is how easy it is to acquire a home, and I wanted you to see the numbers. I put the blue number in there because that's the money that leaves your pocket every month. Any questions? If not, I move on.
I did have a quick question, Paul.
Go ahead.
So with that second scenario, I know that 10% is required down, but if someone, let's say they're selling a property to purchase, they want to put 20% down, that eliminates that mortgage insurance, correct?
Yeah.
So that makes the monthly payment even less.
Yes. So the idea, gang, for the sake of example, and I said I would stop and explain it if we asked. So if you don't ask, I assume comprehension. So thank you, Lily, for saying that. Mortgage insurance, for the sake of this example, is something that the lender charges when the buyer puts less than 20% down payment. Now, I'm not saying it's good or it's bad, it's right or it's wrong, it's immaterial. It is the math. So some might say, wow, I have to take an extra $74,000 out of my pocket to avoid paying $190. Yes. Does that make mathematical sense to you? Yes. No. It's your decision. What if you took the $75,000 and put it in an interest-bearing account, making you 8%, and this is at 4 7/8? Who cares about the mortgage insurance? I'm making money with my money instead of putting this in just to bring the payment down. Right. Who knows? And I got news for you, gang. Depending on what you believe about the market, the economy, the politics, the president, the interest rates, who knows, right? But depending on what you feel, what you think, or the facts that you find out about, if you just let the property naturally go up in value, once you reach 20% equity, you can get that removed. Mm-hmm. You don't have to take 74 grand out of your pocket. If you're buying an area where the values continue to increase every year, you could have 20% in this property in 2 or 3 or 4 years, and that's going to drop off. Let it do it naturally. Don't put your 74 grand into that. Go buy the car, go to the vacation, go do the investments, whatever. I'm not telling you what to do or not to do, but in certain areas, the homes are appreciating relatively quickly. Let it do its thing. Thank you, Lily. Any other thoughts or questions about that? Okay. Get your checkbooks. We're buying a house. Come on. Let's talk about now these 3 factors. This is how easy it is to acquire a home, purchase real estate. 3 factors, very simply. I always start with credit. Credit is something that I don't have control over, but I can fix. I can help. Now, I'm not saying that your credit is bad. I'm not saying it needs fixing or helping, but I'm going to make some general statements tonight. Let's talk about this. Has anyone ever been to the doctor's office? Think about this now. Yes, I've been to the doctor's office. Yes, I've given blood work. Especially if I'm sick, they want to find out what's going on. So now you give the blood work, you wait till the results come in, and the doctor reads the blood work and then tells you, this is what's right, this is what's wrong. Here's the script. Follow this and we'll fix what is wrong. The point I'm making here, everyone, is this. You wouldn't attempt to self-medicate with your health before the results came back. So don't attempt to self-medicate with your credit before the credit doctor checks the credit. When I take a look at the credit, it's akin to a doctor looking at your blood work. When I look at the credit, I would say to you, your credit's in wonderful shape. Oh my goodness, let's take care of this. Don't touch this. Let's do that. I've had so many people tell me, Paulie, I want to pay off some things and fix up my credit before I apply. And I'm like, don't do that. Don't self-medicate. Here's the reason. You might not know the best use of the money you're about to put toward credit cards and how to manipulate the system. I've been doing this since 97. There isn't a credit report I haven't seen, and there isn't a credit report I haven't fixed. I know everything about credit because I've been seeing it for 27 years. And here's a very simple example for you. Recently happened where a gentleman wanted to pay off a collection. In his mind, it's the right thing to do. I'm not saying that it's not, but it's not the right time to do it. Here's why. This collection was 4 years old. There's like a statute of limitations on credit. When credit is now that collection beyond 2 years, it has zero impact. Zero. If you pay a bad debt, you've reactivated the statute of limitations. You've now opened yourself up to another negative impact to your credit. It will bring your scores down, but I'm paying it off. It doesn't matter. You reactivated bad debt. Don't do that if buying a home is important to you at this moment. So that's why I said, is it the right thing to do? Possibly. Is it the right time to do it? Probably not. So allow me to take a peek at the credit, analyze the blood work, analyze the credit, and let you know. As an example, gang, credit scores range from 0 to 850. You can actually buy a home with a 550 credit score. What? Yeah. It's just like when you graduated high school with a D. You still got your diploma. You still graduated. Nobody ever asked their doctor, what did you get on your MCATs? We call them doctor. So my point is, when you become a homeowner, you can do it with as little as a 550 score. That doesn't mean I won't help you improve the score, because getting insurance, getting a cell phone, getting a credit card, getting a car loan, everybody looks at credit. The higher the score, the more options you have. I'm going to do my best to educate and empower you on giving you the most options you could have access to. But like Lily mentioned before, talking about a buyer's market, a seller's market, here's the deal. I just got married. It's a buyer's market. I got to buy. I got to buy. It doesn't matter what's happening in the market. I'm buying now. So to me, it's my buyer's market. I'm going through a divorce, unfortunately. I got to sell now. I'm not going to continue to live with you. I can't stand you. I'm not looking at the market or the politics. We got to get out of here. There are variables, gang, that we are not in control of, and that could determine our next move. When Lily shows you the stats and the data, that could very well be absolutely irrelevant to your particular situation. Good information to have, but it doesn't matter if I'm in a particular space where I have to do something because of something else. Keeping that in mind, my point to you about credit is simply this. If you are serious about buying, and you're serious about buying in the next 3 to 12 months, the first thing to do is have the credit doctor, me, look at the credit, analyze it, and give you an education. I'm going to give you a couple of tips right now. This is not to self-medicate. This is to educate and empower. I don't listen to the news. I don't listen to the politics. I don't listen to anything that is contrary to my belief system and what I'm looking to accomplish. So nobody's going to talk me into or out of. I don't use fear to scare somebody. I want to use cheer to empower somebody. I want to do this in an exciting way to say, when you do these things, you achieve this. It's up to you when you want to do it. I'm not saying renting is bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying living with family is good or bad. That's for you to decide. I'm going to give you the tools and the education to empower you to do what you want to do when you want to do it. That's my objective. So I'm going to give you an example right now. A very basic example. My children, I have 3, 29, 27, 25. I know I look like I'm 40. Thank you, Sylvia, for saying that. I think she said it in the chat. I don't know if that was still disabled. My point is this. When my children all turned 18, they all had 750 credit scores. How is that possible? It's simple, gang. What I did was I added all of them to my credit cards as authorized users reporting to credit. My 10-year credit card good paying history now populated onto their credit. Like that. No negative impact to me, only a positive benefit to them. If you have children, if that makes sense, and if you've got credit cards you're paying on time, add your kids. Gang, you don't have to be related. It can be a friend, a neighbor, a poker buddy. Anybody can be added to anybody's credit card as an authorized user reporting to credit. Make sure that the person that is adding you has been paying the credit card on time, because whatever that history is going to populate, not the score, the history. That's the first thing you can do. And one of the easiest, quick, I don't want to call it a trick or a cheat code, but that's an easy way to increase your scores if it's needed. And if it's not needed, then you don't need to do it. But I got my kids high enough, and then I pulled my credit cards off, and they were able to get their own. And now they self-sustain. Another easy thing that you can do is essentially, if you have Netflix, if you have utility bills, those things report to credit, gang. Most people don't know that. So if you've had Netflix for a year and paid it on time, you can get that to report to credit. That will bump your scores. Your utility bills, that will bump your scores. I can give you a credit cheat sheet of different consumer credit cards that when you get them, they bump your scores. And here's a really good one. If you are renting and have been paying your rent on time, your rental history will report to credit, just like a mortgage. And I got news for you. They'll do a 2-year look back for you, and that could give you a 40 to 60 point jump like that. So these are all tips and tricks for you to enhance your score if it's needed, bolster it, even if it's not needed. You could still get the extra points. So there's some easy cheat codes for you. Does anybody have a question or a thought about that from me? Okay, next one is this. I've had many people in my experience since its inception come to me and tell me my credit score is a 740. Well, that would be wonderful. Where did you get the score? Credit Karma. Ooh. Listen very carefully. Credit Karma is a wonderful consumer site. There are 2 different credit systems that companies use. It's called Vantage and FICO. Vantage is used by Credit Karma, which means nothing. FICO is what every lender uses. So if you're getting your information from that site, it's not legitimate for a mortgage. It is legitimate when they report about your credit card, somebody pulled your credit, there's a collection. They're very good about that. But the scoring model is not relevant. And typically, it's a higher number than what your actual score is that we use from the FICO system because it makes you feel good. And that's why I use Credit Karma, because they told me I got a 740. No, you don't. Yes, they do. They told me. I know they told you. Makes you feel good, but I'm going to give you the real numbers. And I'm not saying it's going to be 500 and they said 740, but they're 99 times out of 100, there's a difference in the numbers. Keep in mind, you can get a mortgage with a 550. So don't get too upset. But I need to give you that education so that you understand the source of the information. Questions about that system?
No
Okay.
question.
Oh, go ahead. No, nothing. We got
I said no questions.
Yeah, if there's no questions, I assume comprehension. So I'm going to take credit for being a great teacher. I don't know. I have no idea. So credit, what I typically tell you is that is step one. Step one. The next thing we talk about as far as qualifying criteria would be income. Income. I don't even want to say job. I want to call it income. Here's why. Generally speaking, there are various forms of supporting income. It could be a regular job with a paycheck and taxes taken out, and at the end of the year, you get a W-2. Wonderful. No problem. It could be you're an independent contractor and you get paid via 1099. No taxes are taken out. You have to then self-file or get an accountant to file, itemize your deductions, and reduce your income to pay the government less money for whatever you want to do. Wonderful. There could be a situation where you're like, Paulie, I get paid cash. No tax returns, no W-2, no 1099. No problem. We have an outlet for that. That could be something like I take 12 months of bank statements and I look at the cash flow and I generate an average and I give you credit for that income. It's non-traditional, little creative financing. Paulie, I don't put my money in the bank. I put it in the mattress. I'm Italian. So am I. I know what you're talking about. It could be the fact that you're stacking your money and you don't actually put it anywhere. No problem. Maybe we just get a letter from your accountant and that accountant writes a P&L and says, Paul Conti makes $5,000 a month, 10 grand a month. Great. We could use the letter from your CPA as the profit and loss statement. You then could be, hey, I'm retired, but my form of income is Social Security and pension. Wonderful. My form of income is permanent disability. Wonderful. I preface permanent, not temporary. Permanent disability. I'm a veteran. I get money from the VA. Wonderful. How about this one, gang? I'm a college student. I want to buy a home, but I'm not working. Wonderful. Is mom or dad willing to go on the loan and co-sign for you as what's called a non-occupant co-borrower? They're not going to live in the house. You don't have a job, but they make enough money to support their debt and the new house. You can buy a home. It's not even your income. It doesn't matter. So as you're identifying here, there are many, many ways to source and generate the income needed to support the purchase of a home. Questions or thoughts about that, gang? Okay.
That's pretty powerful. Yeah.
It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Last one is money. You need a little scuttle, a little green, little, lot, depending on what you want. Here's the thought process. I shared with you a moment ago what a 10% down payment would look like, which essentially is saying you need $74,500 to buy this home. That is the down payment. That's part one. Part two would be what we call the settlement charges or the closing costs. That's where the county, the state, the agent, everybody else that's involved, all the people behind the curtain that work so hard and diligently to make it a pleasurable experience for you, they all get paid from that. And that could be 10, 15, 20,000, depending on the area, the taxes, the county, all of that plays a factor in that final number. So let's say for the sake of simple math, you might need $90,000 if you wanted to put 10% down on this property. And it goes down from there. Oh, Paulie, I don't have all of that money. I have 50. Okay. Do you have money in a 401k? I do. Do you recognize that you can pull money out of that account penalty free if it's for your first home purchase? You can do that. I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. I'm educating you as to the option, gang. Or instead of pulling it out of that, maybe you go to mom and dad. Maybe go to grandma, who's saying, when I die, I'm going to give you a part of my estate. Grandma, why wait until you die? Give it to me now. I'm trying to buy a house. Can you help me take care of the family and put your grandkids in a nice home? I need a little cash, Grandma. Give it to me now. You can receive a gift. Somebody can give you gifted monies. Here, Here's the money you need to buy the home. Wonderful. So it might not even have to be your money. It could be friends, family. It could be something you sell, a car, a ring, whatever it is, and you generate the money that way. And it also could be grant money, down payment assistance, DPA, down payment assistance programs. There are a handful of them. And sometimes they say, hey, we'll give you 10, 20, 30 grand to help you buy that home. It's a down payment assistance program. Now, let's recognize something. Anything coming from the government might have a string or two. It doesn't mean it's bad. I just want to give you the education. Sometimes the grants, quote unquote, will say, we're going to give you this money, but you need to stay in that house for at least 5 years. You can't refinance and don't sell. If you do, you can. You just got to pay us back what we gave you, plus interest. No problem. As long as you understand the string and you still want to pull on it, no problem. Get the education, which is what Lily and I will provide to you if you want it or if you need it. Some people say, Paulie, I want to buy this house and I think it's going to go up 150 grand in a couple of years and I want to get out of Dodge and sell that sucker. Great. If you take the money from the government, just know you got to give that back with interest and it would look like this. Are you cool with that? No. Then don't take the money. Do it on your own. The point I'm making, gang, is I'm never going to tell you anything about the purchase process is bad or wrong. Because then I would be just like politics where it's like, that's wrong. Don't do that. There's no, stop. What's right for you? Am I around the people, Lily and Paul, which is the right team, who are going to educate and empower me? And collectively, with their 37 years of experience, helping thousands of people acquire real estate, are they going to do the right thing by me as well? Obviously, the answer is yes. Always. I wouldn't still be allowed to be in the business if I didn't put your needs ahead of mine. Always. So we're going to give you all of the tools and show you how to use them, walk with you, hold your hand when needed, and help you get the keys to the home that you want. The plan tonight was to provide you with that education, to make an introduction. You get to meet us and see us. Hey, that's Paulie. There's Lily. I know who they are. I feel good about this. I learned things I didn't learn. Don't go to ChatGPT. Just go to ChatPKC. Those are my initials, Paul K. Conti. It's a joke. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. But my point is, we're here for you on a text, on a phone call, on an email. I got questions, Lily. Can you help me with this? Paulie, tell me about this mortgage product. Can I do this now? We're here for you. Gang, I'm on the East Coast. It's 10:20. I'm still here for you. I love doing this. This is a blessing and a gift to me that Lily wanted me to be her partner with this thing here. No problem. So geography never stops me. And I'm giving you an example. I'm here at 10:20 at night, still with you, and will always be with you. Now, maybe I won't text you at 8 in the morning, which is 5 your time. I'll wait until you get up, but late nights, I'm here for you, gang. So this is a quick summary and an overview of how we can help you become a homeowner. I'll close by saying, if there are any questions, it's been a quiet crowd tonight, so I'm hoping we've done a very thorough job empowering and educating you to the point where it's like, I really don't have any questions. You did a great job. So what is the next step? Simply stated, here's how it works. You communicate with me. I text introduce you. I have Lily on the text thread. It's a group text with my mortgage team. I give them the story after we have our conversation. I tell them the whole story about what you're looking to accomplish, what you're looking to do, make the introduction, and at the bottom of the text is a mortgage link. You click on it. It'll take you about 7 minutes to complete the mortgage link. Name, date of birth, social, where you work, upload your pay stub. We then do a soft pull on credit. A hard pull shows up as an inquiry and could impact your score. We do a soft pull. No impact to your score. It's like we take a little peek under the hood like that there. Just enough to give us the information we need to properly guide you. We then analyze the income. We give you an education about the credit. And then we say, here are your mortgage approval options. And then we give you an approval letter We give Lily an approval letter. This is when we tap Lily in. Come on, girl. They're ready now. And then you describe what it is that you're looking for with Lily, and she goes and finds you your dream home. That's the procedure. The next step is, Polly, I need your phone number so I can get that mortgage link. I'd like to get on a phone call with you and talk privately because I don't want to ask goofy questions in front of strangers. So my phone number, as you see right there on the screen, you call me or text me, and then we set up that first call. Any questions for Lily or I? Wonderful.
One thing, just as an aside, I know that you didn't mention it. As discussed initially, this info session was designed for both buyers and sellers. Is the mortgage product that you mentioned could also be used for somebody that needed to refinance as well, right?
Yes. So that lower interest rate is for a rate and term refinance, a cash out refinance, or a purchase.
Yeah.
Now, for those that are actually considering selling and then buying, for the sake of this example, we have a very, very beautiful product for you. It's called a bridge loan. So think about, what does a bridge do? A bridge gets me from this spot to the spot I'm trying to go, and then I can come back over the bridge and back and forth, a bridge. So now the thought is, I need to sell my home before I can buy. The answer is not anymore. With this unique bridge loan, you don't have to sell before you buy. I'm actually going to do the math for this group because this is a sharp group. You've been very engaged tonight. This is all sarcasm. Come on, gang.
So I will be mindful. I know that we're a little bit over time.
Oh, crap.
I know you can do it really quick.
All right, I'll do it real quick. Here it is, right? So let's do this math. Your home's value, you will be able to sell that home for $700,000. You're looking to buy a home for $500,000. Let's assume you're downsizing. So it's 1.2 million. I add these up. Your current home will sell for this. The home you want to buy is this. You then take the 1.2 and multiply that by 70%. You have access to $840,000. You can go buy that house in cash. Simple math, gang. If you have a mortgage still against this property, $200,000, subtract it from what you have access to. If there's no mortgage, that's the cash you have. Go buy the house in cash. If there is a mortgage, subtract it from that. You're still left with $640. If these are the numbers, you can still go buy that house in cash. That is a bridge loan. You have the power of a cash purchase with my bridge loan. I went quick.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. I want to just open it up one last time. If there's any questions, I don't know why chat isn't functioning, but feel free to unmute, ask the questions. Otherwise, me and Paul's information is up on the screen. Feel free to give us a call, text us. We're here for you, whether you're looking to buy or sell, or you know somebody and you think that they would benefit from this information. I will make the recording, the replay available and get it to you all via email. So I hope that it was helpful. Thank you all for joining. I know it's late, it's a holiday, but we're all here. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Paul, for joining and staying up late for us.
My pleasure. Love it. Everyone have a fantastic evening. We'll hear from you soon.
Take care.